And we're back for video number 2. Hey everyone, Barry from Showbiz Blueprint. Happy to be with you again, and this time from one of my favorite places on earth. A short walk from my house on the Sierra Mountains in Northern California. I come to this place quite often to walk my dog, run a few miles on the scenic trails, and plot business strategies for the upcoming week. Let's get down to business. First off, I want to thank you for all the feedback from the first video. The comments and emails have been so inspiring. I can personally relate to each story you shared about your biggest dream, your challenges, and your desire to play bigger. My takeaway from reading each and every message is that at the end of the day, we are a remarkable group of human beings that refuse to settle for who we currently are and will do what it takes to turn the page on the next chapter. Regardless of where we are currently in our career, each of us has a past, a present, and a future. My wish for you is exactly what I hold for myself, that I learn from the past, live in the present, and prepare for a future that is everything I can imagine and more. In my first video, I shared a story from my past that I thought might closely resemble a story from your past. Finding a passion, letting it influence the core of my being, and then realizing that it would be necessary to either leave it behind and move on with my life, or figure out a way to have it finance, enrich, and define my life. Well, you know which decision I made, and I've read comments from many of you that are on various places along that path of decision. Thank you again for speaking from your heart and being vulnerable. That awareness and willingness to open up is what I consider ground zero for creating your reality. Come from that place, and I pledge that you aren't going to get anything short of my utmost respect and professional support. I told you about a turning moment that came just a few months after I was standing in the rain, wearing tights, at a Renaissance festival in a tiny Texas town. It was my very first corporate event for a chain of drugstores, and the paycheck from that 4-day event made my hands shake. More importantly, it was confirmation that my goals were well within reach. In this video, as promised, I will share some of the big takeaways from that event. Those have driven my business for more than 25 years. But before I get into that, I want to share something that I believe is much more important to the big picture about what we as entertainers need to be doing with our time on this planet. You see, in our greatest moments, we inspire, we engage, and we create ripples. We connect people with our talents in a way that humanity has always and will always need. We are recession-proof, outsource-proof, and will never be obsolete. It is fundamental to success that this be held as a core belief. I've checked the logs, and these videos are being seen by people on all 7 continents. Incredible. I take that with great responsibility, and personally, I like to know as much as possible about the people I'm learning from. For the sake of this video, I'm going to assume the same is true for you. Like my dad used to say, always consider the source. So here's a disclosure alert. Get ready. I have been off mainstream media for over 15 years. It's been eons since I've heard the desperate soundtrack of society that tries to convince me that people, economies, leaders are bad. And you know what? For me, they aren't. I love and trust people. My business has seen only positive change. And leaders, heck, they are simply waiting for us to hold them accountable. I highly suggest that you create your own reality based on what runs through your veins in your most creative and authentic moments. Your passion needs to be the only news you listen to because it delivers the message that can change the world, your world, and the world of every audience member that is lucky enough to feel the ripples of your brilliance. With that said, I can address a few of the comments I've received since the first video in this series was posted. Why would I spend your time addressing individual comments? Well, because I believe that if one of you is brave enough to write it, there are dozens, maybe hundreds of you thinking it. In fact, let me toss out a quick takeaway for you. When I lived in Los Angeles, we did a lot of TV shows, over 100 at last count. I was told by a producer that we were on the TV show Comic Strip Live so many times because they received letters from the public saying that they enjoyed us. Really? How many did you receive, I asked. He told me that they got 11. Then he said that for a national TV show, they count one letter as 1.2 million people. Talk about power. That's over 13 million people demanding to see more of the Raspini brothers, all for less than $4 worth of postage stamps. So, if one person is verbal about not liking your performance at an event, there are others who aren't speaking up, and it will certainly be the message that gets back to the booker. On the other hand, if a few people sing your praise, your name will live forever in the happy file of that producer's mind. Let's get back to the comments. One person writes, to cut to the story, I have the necessary drive, interest, motivation, and am eager to contribute as an entertainer and magician for entertaining others and having satisfaction of doing something constructive which I adore. But there are some obstacles. My age is 66. I don't look my age, keeping myself active by playing badminton and going to the gym. Sometimes the body refuses to act, other family obligations, etc., etc. Hey, I promise you something right here and now. There isn't one person watching this video that doesn't have a list of obstacles. Every performer can look in the mirror and come up with a handful of good reasons why they should quit. That's the easy part. The difference for those of us that push on is this. We know the reasons aren't true. Those reasons have not won the fight. So for you, I want to offer that you look at those obstacles really closely. You're getting something from them or they wouldn't be in your life. How are you using them to keep you safe, to protect you from having to become the biggest and most brilliant form of yourself? Through my ears, your message lands much differently. I hear that you are 66, in good shape, a talented magician, and I see a world of opportunity for you. I see a man that can inspire a generation of people that are giving up on life and agreeing to get old. A demographic that is sitting around waiting to die when there is a world that needs wisdom of elders more than ever. I imagine you using your magic and presentation skills to change lives. And if that isn't enough of a reason to toss those obstacles out the window, I'm sure you could aim even higher. You see this man? His name is David Roche, and he's one of the best motivational speakers I've ever shared a stage with. It was a few years back in Boston at an international conference for an elite group of surgeons. Do you think he faces obstacles? The answer is yes. He shares them openly in his talk, and his gift is the way he both draws attention to his disfigurement and makes the audience see well beyond it. I imagine that our 66-year-old magician friend could draw attention to his obstacles as part of his talk and become a great motivator as well. And sir, I hope to share the stage with you one day too. Thank you for sharing this comment with the community here. If I can help you look back on your life without a single regret around your magical talents, then I've done my job. Now let's get into two lessons that I so want to share with you. Lessons that I originally learned way back in 1988 at my very first corporate show and are still guiding me today. First, clients couldn't care less about you or me. Ah! I know, total blow to the ego and might even be flat out rejected by some of you watching this video. That's fine. I invite you to suspend your judgments for just a few moments and hear me out. Clients who are planning shows are concerned with one thing and one thing only. Will their audience, coworkers, board of directors, administrative staff, or colleagues, patrons, whoever, will those people be better off if they make the decision to hire you? That's it. If you could remove a cross-section of their brain, that is the decision you'd see being weighed. And by the way, we all do this. It isn't solely the domain of clients deciding on entertainment. This stuff happens way down in the reptilian brain, and it's what ultimately forces a decision. If the opening paragraph of your website, your promo materials, or an inquiry email address anything except that inner conversation that is going on in their head, then you are already behind the 8 ball. Don't start your conversation about why you love your art, or where you learned it, or how many balls you can juggle. You might as well walk into their bedroom while they're sleeping, stand over their bed, and dump a bucket of water on their head. I tell you, it'll be just about as effective for building trust and dialogue. Knowing that all a client cares about is creating a remarkable experience for their audience, that should create a new access point for your web copy, phone conversations, and any other interactions you have. Second, you can't be all things to all clients. One of the most important decisions you can make as an entertainer, or really in any business, is to find an audience and speak directly to them in their language, within their comfort zones, and with a huge amount of understanding about who they are. Imagine walking into a drugstore with a migraine headache and seeing 2 bottles of medicine. One's a big green bottle, and on the label it says medicine for headaches, swollen glands, bunions, hair loss, and acne. Right next to it is a bottle that says relief for nagging migraine headaches. Which one are you going to buy? Right. If you have a single website that boasts kids' parties, college shows, corporate events, guess what? You are that big green bottle of medicine, and I'll bet the farm that you aren't doing very well in any of those markets or in any niche of this business. Take away from this video that for the immediate future, you are going to focus one marketing campaign on one niche of this industry. No crossbreeding on the same website or printed materials. It will confuse the buyer and make it difficult or impossible for them to decide. And this has been 100% tested. If a buyer doesn't make a decision, they don't buy. Make it easy for them to decide on you. Be congruent in your message and make sure it is a match to the market. I've helped hundreds of entertainers clarify their message through my website at getmorecorporategigs.com, and even more so with my group coaching program here at the Showbiz Blueprint. These changes amount to a radical shift in business opportunity, personal satisfaction, and of course, financial security. It's the easiest thing in the world to watch a video like this or read a business book and put on that "I already know this" hat. The hardest thing to do is to step back, take off that hat and say, is there something here that I'm not doing to give myself the best shot at success? And if the answer isn't yes, then take another step back. Here's what happened when one well-established entertainer with over 40 years of experience agreed to take off that hat and put what I taught him to use.
Hi everybody, my name is Brian Glow. I'm a corporate entertainer, an illusionist, a comedy magician, and I really want to tell you about something that changed my life. Barry Friedman has got his Showbiz Blueprint course. I was one of the charter members. I was lucky enough to be picked to be part of the course. And I thought I knew a fair amount about marketing. I've been performing for over 40 years, and I've been in over 40 countries. But until I had the mentorship of Barry, working with him on a weekly basis for the last 10 weeks, my marketing strategies has completely changed. Not only have I increased the amount of shows that I've been getting, but I've also increased the amounts that I charge for the shows, and that's beyond belief. Can you imagine doing one show and paying for the entire course in one show? It was such a mindset changing event to my life that I really highly want to recommend that you try this out too. Barry literally holds your hand through the entire process. When I had a question, he was always there. If I had a problem, a technical problem, learning how to produce some of the marketing videos that he's going to show you how to do, he was there. He showed me the nuances, the little changes. He even helped me change some of the wording of my marketing videos. He helped me change wording in some of the marketing promotional materials that I sent out in the printed form. Just the entire game has been up to 1,000% now. If you're not part of this, you're going to be losing out to your competition. In fact, the reason I took the course is because more and more magicians have been coming on the scene, even in the large scale illusion show where I thought I was dominant in for many, many years. And with the advent of videos, and there's a lot of other guys that are getting into the game very strongly. And the internet presence had to be another game changer. And with some of the things that we learned, the techniques we learned for driving traffic to our sites and going directly after producers and agents and other end producers, like maybe a company that was doing several shows in a year, using those techniques, I've been able to make tens and tens of thousands of dollars more just on the first couple of times that I tried some of the techniques that Barry has taught. So if you're not part of the game, you're missing out.
On this video, I've shared a lot of information that might go against traditional thought or even against your own personal beliefs. Everything I'm telling you is based on my experience from over 30 years in the trenches, from street performing to a presidential command performance to 6 TED Talks. It's also based on what I've learned from personally coaching entertainers about the business of show business. One important lesson I've learned, both in the office and on trails just like this, is that small steps are the only way to climb the steep mountain. And more important than the size of that first step is the direction. I invite you to take a step right here, right now. What did you hear in this video that touched a nerve in you? And what is a small action step that you can take to turn it around? Use the box right below this video as a tool to empower yourself. Send a clear message to that part of you that likes to keep hidden and play small. Let it know that you're done messing around, that you're onto its game and that things are going to be different. There is untold power and momentum in telling on yourself, making a verbal or written proclamation. Do it now. In my next video, I'm going to talk about why our Johnny Carson or Jay Leno Tonight Show footage isn't even on our promo reel. I'll also talk about other ways you can add value to the clients you are currently serving. Yep, and give you a secret ninja technique that you can use to spy on prospects so that you speak to them in terms that they love, the terms that are most important to them. Hey, this is Barry from the Showbiz Blueprint, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.